All right, great. Good afternoon and welcome to Senior Concerns seminar series. I am Hannah Hoffman, the care manager here at Senior Concerns. If you're not familiar with our programs, I'll take a quick minute to share them with you. We have a caregiver resource center with support groups, senior advocates. We have the adult day program. We do the Meals on Wheels program for Thousand Oaks, Newberry Park, Westlake, Oak Park, and Agora. We have a geriatric in-home assessment program for a fee, and we also offer pro bono legal and financial concerns. Today's seminar we're so excited about is Respite. You've got to be kidding. How to take a break when you don't have time for a break. We are so fortunate to have our presenter here with us today, Connie Baher. Connie is a writer and speaker on caregiving and life transitions. If you were part of our caregiver recognition event back in March, perhaps you heard Connie's short talk about emotional respite, how to find a moment of calm before visiting with the person you're caring for. Today, we have a chance to drill down on the topic of respite, how to take a break when you don't have time for a break. Connie Baher has done extensive research on caregiving. Her latest book is Family Caregivers, an emotional survival guide. Her most recent articles, From One Caregiver to Another, No One Knows What We Do, and New Year's Resolutions for Family Caregivers, appeared in the PBS-sponsored online magazine, Next Avenue. Published in US Today, the New York Times Magazine, Forbes, and Boston Globe, she is also the author of The Case of the Kick-Ass Retirement, How to Make the Most of the Rest of Your Life. Connie is a Harvard MBA, an entrepreneur, and award-winning lecturer, and a former tech executive. She and her husband live in Carlsbad, California, where she was a caregiver to her mother for 13 years. We are so happy to have her, and I will pass it on to Connie.
Okay, thank you, Hannah. I'm just thrilled to be with you all today. And yeah, as Hannah said, I've been in the trenches along with many of you as a caregiver. And what I'd like to focus with you on today is how to break the vicious cycle. I'll bet many of you have encountered well-meaning friends or counselors who tell you that you need to do some self-care. Right, you say, tell me about it. I'm so busy, so overwhelmed. How am I going to do that? Well, in the next few minutes, I hope I can give you a few tips, tell a few stories, share some ways that caregivers have found to actually take a break and help bring maybe even just a little bit of respite into your life. So specifically, what we want to talk about, what we want to look at is why you can't possibly take a break. Then I'm going to share with you what I call minute mood hacks, simple ways to do a quick refresh. And then we'll talk about some keys to success. For starters, you already know you need to do this, and you know why you can't. I'm so busy already. I don't have time to take a break. You're just adding to my to-do list. No one else can take care of Dad the way I can. What? You think I have time to go to a movie or have lunch with my friends? A break? That's so self-indulgent. I would feel so guilty. And even if I could take a break, what would I do? There's nothing left inside. It's just caregiving 24/7. Yeah, we know those things. So let's talk about reframing respite. Those were the reasons you can't take a break. And here are 3 reasons you have to. Number 1, it's not optional. 1 in 3 caregivers are struggling with poor health themselves. I hope that's not you, but it could be, right? 55% of unpaid caregivers miss their doctor's appointments. Ever happened to you? I know I postponed all kinds of doctor's appointments. Depression symptoms negatively impact up to 70% of caregivers. It's tough. I don't need to tell you that. So caregiver stress is real and it's nasty. One study showed a 60% uptick in mortality for elderly caregivers. Now, here's somebody you might know. This is Jenica Polico, who is on the board of Senior Concerns. She's a social worker who specializes in emotional wellness of older adults with a focus on aging and caregiving. And here's what she told me. She said, I see it a lot. A care provider who neglects their own health, skips their own doctor's appointments because they're so absorbed. And this is Mary Ingalls Brown. She's a behavioral health counselor with Kaiser Permanente. Here's what she told me. She said, you have to make a concerted effort to carve out a little bit of time. It seems impossible, leaving the room for even 5 or 10 minutes. It doesn't seem like it makes a difference until you try it and see how it can refuel you and recenter you. Go out of the house and take some deep breaths. Listen to music. Make a short phone call. It can refuel you. Find ways to remove yourself to self-soothe. Maybe it's yoga or meditation or being in nature. And here's the key. She concludes it's just as important as a prescription. Think of it as medicine. You have to do it. For many of us, here's reason number 2. It's not a sprint. You're in this for the long haul. This is Karen Van Dyke. She's one of the many people that I interviewed when I was doing the research for my book. She's a certified senior advisor, and she moderates a daughterhood circle support group. There's a group of these around the country, and she moderates one of them. She says, bluntly, caregiving is traumatic. No caregiver says it isn't. It changes your life. When you have just finished your day, mom calls. She wouldn't take a shower. She wouldn't eat. Karen says self-care is the key to surviving this part of life's journey. And here's one more wonderful person. Kevin Sumner Eisenbrown is a spiritual counselor whom I've come to know very well. He's with Silverado Hospice in San Diego, and he used to head up family support services for them. He says people push themselves right up to their limits, especially for the long-haul caregivers. It has to be sustainable. Let's start building some cushion in your day. You're already stressed. You need to preserve your own health. And he says, long-haul caregiving is a marathon. It's not a dash. When I see it done well, people have found some way to decompress. So let's ourselves take a break right here and tell a story. This is about the woman who played on her iPad. This is Barbara. I've disguised her name. She's 73. And at the time of this story, she has been visiting with her 99-year-old mother every day at the board and care. She's a dutiful daughter and a willing caregiver, but it has been tough to see her mother decline, losing her memory, wasting away in front of her. One afternoon, exhausted and on the edge of despair after a visit with her mother, she sat down with her iPad and started to play games, word games, solitaires, puzzles, whatever presented itself. The whole afternoon went by without her even realizing it. I've never done anything like that before, she told me. I accomplished absolutely nothing that afternoon, she said, as her inner scorekeeper kicked in. Then she paused. But actually I did, she said, almost surprising herself. I came back to the real world refreshed. I really needed that. It was actually a good thing. And now, reason number 3. Don't just think of it as self-care, it's self-preservation. This is Donna Shemp. She's a senior program director with the Family Caregiver Alliance. There are 2 objectives, she says. One is having a life after you're a caregiver, and one is having a life while you're being a caregiver. If you don't take a break, all your good work is going to be for naught. You're going to need a foundation to build on after the caregiving ends. Okay, so if you're maybe convinced that you really have to do this, or at least you're a little less skeptical, we still have the elephant in the room. Where will you find the time? So I'd like to share with you some surprising new research on what 1 minute can do. And you say to me, what, 1 minute, really? Well, the Headspace meditation app, it's a free app you can get on your smartphone or whatever. They say it might surprise you to find out that in 60 seconds, you can completely reset your mindset. Psychology Today says 1 minute of exercise can transform you and make you feel better immediately. And here's the University of Michigan Health Service. 1 minute of tensing and relaxing your muscles, 1 minute of deep breathing, or visualizing a beautiful relaxation spot can reduce stress. Micro breaks is what the researchers call these things, lasting anywhere from a few seconds to several minutes. They've been found to reduce workplace stress. Why not micro breaks to reduce caregiver stress? So, okay, here we go. What I'd like to do in the next few minutes is run through a bunch of what I call minute mood hacks, short timeouts that can recharge your batteries and reset your mood. As we go through the list, a word of explanation. Some of these may be new to you, but a lot will be familiar. And here's the point. When did you actually do any of these things? And this is just a selection. There are about 40 in my book, and I keep collecting them. These are just some of my favorites. And here's what I'd like you to do. As we go through them, I'd like you to do one thing. Pick one, just one mood hack that you're going to try maybe this afternoon after you finish listening to this seminar. We'll come back to that when we talk about strategies to get you started. But for now, here are some minute mood hacks. See if you can pick one. Listen to a short bit of your favorite music. Play music, your piano, that old violin, whatever instrument you have, even the one stashed up on the top shelf of your closet. Meditate. The app Insight Timer offers over 25 different 1 minute guided meditations. Calm is another very popular meditation app. They have meditations as short as 2 minutes. Do some deep breathing. Pause, close your eyes, and just listen to the sounds around you. Do a few yoga pauses, some Tai Chi, some Qigong, some Pilates, whatever you like. Find a short YouTube video to follow along with. How about watching a few minutes of a movie on your phone, your iPad, your TV? Laugh. This one's so important. Check out YouTube for last night's late night comedians. We have to do that after the writer's strike. See who's doing stand-up on Netflix. Read a few pages from that book on your nightstand or an ebook on your Kindle. Listen to a bit of an audiobook. Try hugging a warm wash rag to your face. Soak your feet in warm water. Massage the palm of each hand. Massage your feet. Take a quick shower and slather on your favorite body lotion. Have you found your minute mood hack yet? Here is some more. Garden. Pull a few weeds. Water your windowsill plants. Cut some flowers and arrange them in a vase. I love doing that. I don't know, it just is so calming and so beautiful. Or buy some flowers next time you're in the grocery store. Sit in the sun. Open your window and listen to the birds. Walk around the block. Look at the blue sky or look at something green. Many researchers find that blue and green seem to be calming colors. Find something to marvel at. Take what they call an awe walk. Try forest bathing, a little time immersed in nature, or green exercise, a mini workout outdoors. And as the weather is getting better and better these days, maybe that's something that could work. Work on an art project. Pick up your knitting or crocheting. Do some stitching on that work in progress quilt. Edit some of your digital photographs and send some good memories to friends and family. Play a solo game like Our Lady on the iPad. Do Wordle or work on a crossword puzzle. Download a solitaire app and play one round. I hope you found that at least one of these is something you might be able to try today. And then maybe you can try a different one tomorrow. A great behavioral scientist, B.J. Fogg, wrote a wonderful book about how we can change our lives, and it's called Tiny Habits. You may know this, it's a great book. It's about starting small. And it's the same with these minute mood hacks. Small is just fine. And here's the thing. There are 1,440 minutes in a day. Pick 1 minute and start there. And now, to begin to wrap things up, I'd like to talk about keys to success, and I'd like to share one more story. The first key to success is make it a real timeout. Don't keep track of time. Set your watch. It's great if you have an Apple Watch, you can do that. Set a kitchen timer. This is you letting go and recharging. You know, the car doesn't run when it's being refueled. This is your time to play. No goals, no objectives, no accomplishments needed. Just play. Romp in the fields, and then you can get back into harness. So set that timer and do whatever you want to do for the 1 minute, the 5 minutes, whatever you can spare. And the second key is to be intentional. This is your time. Do this mindfully so that you savor what you're doing. This is your minute, and you get to do whatever you want. Well, until the phone rings or the next interruption. It's a start. You are giving all day long. You're responsible all day long. Thinking 24/7, or at least on call 24/7 for your person. This is just 1 minute, and it's about reclaiming just a little bit of you. You'll need this foundation later. Our last story. The picture there is a fellow named Joseph August. He runs a coaching company called Yes to Life Coaching. He wrote a book called Coaching for Caregivers, and he was the caregiver for his mother and father for over a decade. He lives in Elkin Park, Pennsylvania. I had the opportunity to talk with him at some length, and here's what he told me. He said, self-care. Where do you get the message to finally do that? You're not necessarily going to get an email demanding that you do something for yourself. He says, when I was camping out in Gainesville, in Florida, while taking care of my father, a friend created a music tape for me. When I would get back to my little efficiency, I would put that on and I would dance. At those moments, all that existed for me was the dancing and the music. I was in a trance, outside the world of medicine, suffering, and problems. I think it's so important to find your own way of doing that, he says. It feeds you that energy. Taking that gentle yoga class for just an hour, then you can be more present as a caregiver. Everybody has a mix of feelings, he concludes. I really think it's part of being human. Maybe there are other people who are saints and really come out of unconditional loving. But how about unconditionally loving ourselves? So, to wrap things up for now, this is about taking a break before you get broken. There should be no guilt. It's medicine. You say you have no time. Well, it's only a minute. You say, I have nothing left inside. I'm just numb. Well, try to rediscover what you love doing, what you used to love, and do it now. You want to plant a seed, nurture it bit by bit. You will need this when the caregiving is over and it's time to bloom again. Thank you very much. And I'm going to turn it over to Hannah in case anyone has questions, or we can talk about a few related topics.
All right. Wow. Thank you, Connie. There were so many suggestions that I hadn't thought of before, so I appreciate it. Yeah. I just want to mention another one. If you have an Apple Watch, I use this sometimes on my phone. They have a breathing exercise on your Apple Watch, and you can set it for 1 minute, 3 minutes, or 5 minutes. And I've done the 1 minute and 3 minute one right before I do something stressful or just throughout the day. It's helpful.
Well, thank you. I learned that's a good one for me. Thank you.
Yeah, of course. So I do have a question. You have talked a bit about how hard it is to find time for a break, and you gave us some suggestions. Can you give us some pointers on how caregivers might be able to squeeze a break into their day?
Absolutely. In fact, I just happen to have a little slide here that I want to share. See if we can get this to work. There we go. It's tough. I mean, having been a caregiver, I know how hard it is to find the time. So here's what I learned from talking with probably over 100 different caregivers and counselors. So one trick is what this lady says: put the money in the bank first. Lily is 69. She was the caregiver for her mother for 1.5 years. And she says, how do you sustain yourself? You need extreme self-care. Every morning, put the money in the bank first. Do it before you get out of bed. And similarly, this is Dan. He's 73. He was the caregiver for his mother for 4 years. He says, I brought her to live with me. First thing in the morning, I would do my exercise. That was my self-care, and I wanted to get it done before the caregiving took over. So that's one trick. And actually, I want to share with you something I just learned the other day. It relates to this very notion of sort of squeezing these moments in. I was talking with a wonderful psychotherapist named Barbara Abramowitz. She practices in Massachusetts, and she is herself also a caregiver. And she says, so these are people who say, do stuff in the morning, so that way it's done before the day kind of slips away from you. She says another way to look at it is to weave these moments in throughout your day, but they're just going to be moments. So here's how it goes. She says, we can take advantage of the time between tasks. Sounds a little bit like what you were referring to
Yeah.
with the breathing thing on the watch.
Mhm.
So here's a little more on this. She says, rather than rushing mindlessly from one activity to another, which I have to confess I do all the time, take a moment to pause and acknowledge what you've completed, center yourself, and breathe. In the car, take a moment before heading to your destination, breathe. Take time between appointments, or stare at the sky or your garden and reconnect with your senses and soul to experience being. She says, breathe. And then she wraps it up. She says, activities, a lot of which we've mentioned, such as art, music, dance, walking in nature, hugging, and practices of meditation, gratitude, compassion, prayer, and mindfulness can all be portals for quieting the mind and opening to positive emotions. So she says, and I've been trying to work on this myself, we tend to run, especially if you are a harried, overwhelmed caregiver. It's like, oh, time to get the medicine, pick it up, drop it off at mom, do this. She needs something else, run to the store, bring that. See if you can weave in some moments. There's a couple more ideas too. Let me share another idea. This is from Senior Concerns board member Jenica Polico. She says, look, start small, find anything that requires a small start. Maybe you can't take an entire day off to go to the spa. Take 5 minutes to go outside and sit in the sun. Watch the leaves blow in the wind. From there, work up to a 10-minute walk around the block. Keep building. Every day, do something. And I got one more for you. And this is from Erin DiCarlo and Lauren Watts. These are two great women in Massachusetts who run transition services for seniors. She says, schedule the joy. She says, we ask our clients to write down a list of things that used to bring them joy and that they're not doing now. Let's just pause on that because it's probably true for so many of us. Oh yeah, I used to do that. And especially if you're an overwhelmed caregiver, you've put aside so many things. And this is what these folks say. We tell our clients, the caregivers, schedule in things that bring you joy, even if it's 1 minute, 5 minutes. And once you're successful with one thing, then do more, and then do still more on your list. Any amount of progress is still progress. So I hope those are some ideas of actually implementing some of these great ideas that we've been talking about.
Yeah, well, thank you. Thank you for those, Connie. And I have another question. You did give us the minute mood hacks. So again, appreciate that. And do you have any bonus hacks?
Oh, I do have one, and we'll go here. It's called the pencil trick. Okay, so here's what it is. Take a pen or a pencil. See this? And I'm going to show you in a second, but I'll explain first. Put it in between your teeth, and you will be mimicking a smile. All right. Okay. Yeah.
You are, yeah.
Yeah. You can do that, or you can simply, turn up the corners of your mouth as a smile if you're not particularly interested in, putting a pencil in your mouth. Here's the whole idea. The trick is that your face is mimicking a smile, and psychologists call this the facial feedback theory of emotion. And so the idea is facial expressions can affect the circuitry of the brain. So you don't wait to feel happy and then smile. This one says, smile first, and your brain will think you're happy. So there's some debate about this pen-pencil approach, but there's also plenty of recent evidence that smiling can indeed make you feel better. So whether you use a pen or pencil or just lift the corners of your mouth into a smile, you just might boost your mood and feel less stressed. And I got to tell you, this is one of the things I do before I get up every day. It takes no time at all. And it's just a way of sort of saying, I'm going to make this a good day, or I'm going to try real hard to make this a good day. And you just sort of feel just, I'm not saying this is like coming downstairs Christmas morning to a bunch of presents, but it will slightly boost your mood. So go ahead right now, takes much less than a minute, make a smile. Your brain will thank you for it. There we go. Oh, and here we go. There's everybody smiling.
Sorry, my video, am I moving? Can you see me move or no?
You look frozen there for a minute.
Let's see if I'm back. Doesn't look like it, but you can still hear me?
Can hear you.
Okay, then I'll just keep going. I do use video. So I have one more question. You've mentioned this before, I believe. Is there an empowerment aspect of taking a break?
You know, there is. I wish I could empower myself to turn your camera back on.
I know.
I can't quite do that. But yeah, let me give you one more slide. I learned this from a wonderful woman named Judith Peterson. She specializes in grief and loss, and she runs a terrific outfit in Florida called the Hearts of Hope Foundation. And she says, you know, maybe you wake up in the morning and you just don't want to get out of bed. So you stay in bed for 10 more minutes. And if you realize that you have that as a choice of 10 more minutes, it's not going to mess up the rest of your day. You'll still get to all your appointments in the grocery store and whatever else you need to do. But you can transform yourself from a helpless victim to somebody who is empowered. You're doing something in your best interest. And at the end of the day, she says, I like this one too, just close your eyes and say, I have done everything I can do today. Now I have to allow myself to get some restful sleep. You know, that's an easy form of self-care as long as you can get to sleep. So you say, now I have to allow myself to get some restful sleep so I can do the same things tomorrow because that's what I want to do. So it's about kind of flipping the way you look at your life from it's easy for all of us. And I know I've fallen into that myself to say, oh my God, my life is so terrible. I'm such a victim. Why is this happening to me? It's not to say that things aren't difficult and challenging in the extreme, but there are ways of slightly reframing and saying, you know, I'm going to get some sleep because I'm going to do the same thing tomorrow. I'm going to face the caregiving tomorrow because it's what I choose to do. Same thing about that extra 10 minutes in bed. You're not a victim, you're empowered.
Oh, thank you, Connie. I tend to take my 10 extra minutes in the morning, but I didn't really think of it as empowerment. So I appreciate you kind of reframing that for me. And then something that does help me in the morning, you mentioned this, is doing the affirmations. So I actually just use Spotify on my phone, but YouTube has them too. I look up like 4-minute affirmations and I will repeat what they say on the recording, but it's become such a habit that now I don't need the recording and I can just say the affirmations myself. And I find that it really does start my day off. It gives me some sort of feeling of control right in the morning and it starts me off feeling good. So.
Yeah, no, that's great. Yeah, because I think that it's very easy, and maybe as human beings, we sort of tend toward all these negative stuff. Yeah. And especially if you're a caregiver, plenty of reasons why. I mean, just, watching somebody suffer, watching somebody in decline, feeling helpless to really fix the basic problems that they have. It is so tough. And so it's easy. Yeah, I think it's easy, normal, natural to be sort of overwhelmed by those feelings. And I love what you're saying about the affirmations, because it's sort of like, okay, what do you want at top of mind?
Mhm.
That's a choice. That's an empowerment too, right? Is how do I want to face this day? Because I think we all know, if you start out the day saying, my life is terrible and this is going to be a bad day, it's going to be a bad day. So I love the affirmations, yeah, because it's a good way of starting off on a positive note. And then if we can find, I like that notion of weaving in little moments, if you just be mindful of something lovely, especially at this time of year, a flower that has come into bloom. I'm watching my backyard garden slowly come into bloom. That stuff is there if we notice it,
It's so true. And the flowers are all around us right now.
Yeah.
They really are. Wow, Connie. Well, I wish my video was working, but I am just so grateful for you and for everything I've learned from you. And I know that, I know some of the people in here right now and that they'll benefit from it. And then I can pass on some of this information to my support groups as well. Because you really make taking a break seem doable. Right. It's possible with these short bursts. So thank you for kind of reframing what a break might look like to us.
Well, wonderful. It's been my pleasure. And thank you. If we've done that, then we've accomplished what I hope to accomplish, was to show you some stuff and to show you that, yeah, you can really do it.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Connie. I'll go ahead. Oh, let's see. I got some thank yous in the question and answer box. So thank you.
My pleasure.
All right, so we'll go ahead and end. I just will do, thank you so much for joining us today. Of course, Connie, thank you. And I just want to mention, please go to our website to sign up for future seminars. Our next one will be presented Thursday, May 18th at 3 p.m. So this week. It is titled, What You Need to Know When Hiring a Caregiver Privately. This is part of our Legal Education for Elders series. So we'll have a new seminar series for legal education each month. And then I also have a support group coming up. It's a 4-week support group in June. And it is for people who are worried about early memory loss. So we'll do some tips and tricks on memory loss and do some education and get some support from people who are also concerned with memory loss. So thank you again, Connie, and we'll go ahead and end for today. I'll see you all soon. Thank you.
Bye-bye.